Hello Ramblers, it's Pete here. Now, I don't know about you, but after a long day at work, I want to come home, I want to throw myself on the sofa and settle in for a lovely night of football. I don't want to be worrying about the cooking, especially now it's the end of the season and all the players are really, really tired and so every game is really exciting. But I also don't want to eat bad food. I want to eat good food. After all, my body is an absolute temple. And now I can make meals that are both time effective and tasty. It's all thanks to HelloFresh. In case you don't know, HelloFresh make home cooking easy. They deliver ingredients for over 100 different recipes every month right to your door with all the different bits and bobs measured out exactly so you can cook with no shopping and no hassle. HelloFresh is the best thing that's happened to me since Sammy Amiobi. Sammy! Sorry, be a professional! Be a professional! But look, HelloFresh provide loads of easy step-by-step recipes that take about 25 minutes or less to cook. You can even go super quick with recipes that only take 15, which is incredible. If you're struggling to add more fresh ingredients to your plate, HelloFresh can help with that too. You'll be cooking quick meals, nourishing your body with wholesome ingredients in no time. Plus, starting at just £3.15 per serving, you can enjoy these delicious meals without breaking the bank. Here's one of mine here. Plus, starting at just £3.15 per serving, you can enjoy these delicious meals without breaking the bank. Here's the box I got this week, and there's loads of stuff in here. You've got your recipe cards. Looking forward to eating this. As a HelloFresh customer, your plan is also completely flexible. You can skip weeks or cancel your subscription at any time, or even change the number of recipes and servings for any given week at your convenience. If you've got some friends around, cook some more food. It's up to you, so get involved. You can now get 60% off your first box and 20% off the next 2 months, plus free desserts for life. For life. All you have to do is enter the code 60RAMBLE. That's 60RAMBLE at hellofresh.co.uk/60RAMBLE. That's hellofresh.co.uk/60RAMBLE. You can check out the link in the show description as well. Or even easier, you can just scan this QR code right here. Yeah? Just scan it. Get your phone out, scan it, and open it in another tab and then enjoy today's Football Ramble. So get those boxes in time for your spring bounce. Enjoy, my Ramblers. Go and eat well with HelloFresh.
Let's go there now. Tottenham 2, Arsenal 3. I mean, what a first half it was for Arsenal, and the 3 goals in that first half obviously were enough to win the game in the end.
Yeah, it was a really chaotic half. I don't think I've ever seen a game where Arsenal have been 3-0 up, and I've kind of thought, how has this happened?
After only having 28%
comfortable,
28% possession.
Definitely. By the time Arsenal took some control, it was deep into the second half, and then David Raya makes that mistake and lets Spurs back in. The rest of it was absolute chaos. Very neighbourly from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and also from David Raya. Yeah. So it was friendly at least. Gifts were exchanged. It's nice to see it be so cordial.
Christmas Day truce in the First World War.
Yeah. It was a remarkable game of football. And as Jim says, Luke, in that first half, at 3-0 down, Spurs would go off the pitch thinking, what on earth's happened there? I mean, obviously they had one that was a very tight VAR call. They'd hit the post, they'd gone close. I mean,
it was margin.
Romero seemed to be involved in everything.
His heat map is hilarious.
Did
you see it?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
He spent a good portion of the game when Spurs were quite far behind, just up front.
Yeah, it paid off though.
The first half particularly was very, very strange. I mean, Spurs kept winning the ball high up the pitch, which is exactly what you want to do. And it reminded me a bit of when we were talking a while back when Chelsea were beaten heavily by Arsenal, and they conceded very early on. And we made the point on the show that the pressure's all on Arsenal here. Your season's over, Chelsea, right? You can give them a bloody nose here. So just get up and at them early. There's no reason you can't be as intense, as quick, and as kind of hard working as them. And they just capitulated. They conceded. Trossard scored, I think, after about 3 or 4 minutes, and that was that really. This game was different. Spurs were pushing really, really hard over and over again. They kept getting successful in the ball up the pitch. And I think I counted 5 or 6 times just sat in my seat where they almost lacked this conviction. They were so frightened of what Arsenal could do. They gave them way too much respect. And 5 or 6 times they won the ball up in the kind of the right wing area, high up the pitch, and every time it ended up back at Romero at the halfway line because they were like, "Oh, hang on a minute here, we don't want to kind of get caught." And of course, they did keep getting caught anyway. But then, having said all that, you know, there's a really tight offside, which was a lucky ricochet into Van der Ven's path anyway, but it was tight offside. It was given because that's what offside is these days. And then obviously, as you said, Romero hit the post from a header, which, you know, on another day could have gone in and it could have been a different story. But what happened was Spurs, I felt, with Vicario at the back, he just gets targeted at set pieces all the time now.
Particularly from Ben White.
Corners, but it's not just that. It's just the corners are whipped right on top of him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to have the physical presence to be able to deal with it. And you could probably make an argument that one of the corners that resulted in an Arsenal goal was a foul by Ben White. But I mean, you can't really rely on that. I mean, you've got to be strong as a goalkeeper. You can use your fucking hands, for God's sake. You know, you can use your hands to catch the ball. Raya took so many balls. He took so many. He claimed
He's
so many.
very good at that.
Yeah, he dominated that whole kind of area, really, which is what you want your goalkeeper to do. So that was kind of the difference. I thought one of the differences as well in the first half was the fact that it's quite hard to imagine, I think, that Udogie would have had as much of a problem with Saka as Davis did. I mean, Davis had his pants pulled down.
Well, that Saka goal, from Saka's point of view, is a beauty. From Davis' point of view, it's like...
It's quite
it's very... It's easy to say when you're watching, I understand that, but it is the classic you've got to show him down the line, and he could have done, I think.
Yeah, he could have. Saka always does that, and not many people seem to better stop it.
Yeah.
And I would just finish by saying that the difference for me, and although Spurs really came into it the second half, and what would have been great would have been if Spurs had scored one of those early chances, because it would have given not just Spurs confidence, it would have given Arsenal a kick up the arse saying, shit, we need to do something here because we need to win, really. Yeah. And it would have made the game even better than it already was. But what I would also say was, to me, it was a massive... The key differences were... The two big differences. Arsenal have got forward players in great form, and Spurs really don't. And Arsenal are a fucking amazing defensive unit. Yeah. Like, they're so difficult to break down. And it was only that mistake and then obviously that penalty, which meant that Spurs scored at all. I just thought, you know, if you can come into half time 3-0 up, having had so little of the ball, so little play away from home, it's just, to me, it feels like the hallmark of a good side. And it's the first time I've ever heard Spurs fans around me were booing at half time because they were 3-0 down. But it was like a confused booing.
Well, this is it.
And I couldn't really work out what happened.
That's why so many of us have enjoyed Postecoglou at Spurs this season, because they keep going. And that's the thing. At 3-0 down at half time, they weren't just, as you say, the regular boo boys. They were confused boo boys.
Yeah.
And I think
boo? Yeah, it was a bit like that. It was a boo.
Yeah, it's because their team...
like a dog who'd lost its ball.
Exactly.
Booers.
Yeah.
Saying booers.
I'll make my point.
Yeah, please do. That'll be a good one, mate.
It better, because Spurs had done all right in that first half.
Yeah,
they'd gone about their task, you know, and it was on another day they go in maybe level, maybe even ahead, you know. And I think that the Postecoglou's attacking philosophy and so on is so entertaining, and it's not like a, you know, we want Eric Ten Hag to stay in the job because, and we'll come on to them in a bit. But actually, I think the Spurs fans love him, and rightly so, because it is entertaining. They keep going, and nearly got right back in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, there is still a lot of anxiety in my body from that second half. Like, genuinely, it was such a bizarre afternoon. We spoke on Friday about how important it was to play the game and not the occasion. But I think the occasion was just essentially overwhelming and it just completely defined how it was. And I think because Saka and Havertz were so clinical with their finishes, that's the margin, right? Postecoglou talked about the details and the margins after the game. I think he's absolutely right. And if either of them fluff their lines there, I suppose obviously fluffing lines is perhaps not appropriate to Havertz's header because it was so dominant and so good, but still, those were chances you had to bury, and they did it, and it was just insurance that was always going to be needed, because you know Spurs are going to roar back into it. And I wonder how deliberate it was to play on the counter. I don't know if it was. I think it might have been reactive, because again, as we said, they're on an irresistible attacking force, particularly at home, particularly when they've got the wind in their sails, the fans behind them,
the confidence up front.
They had no conviction up front.
Sure, of course, but they kept getting there though, right?
Richarlison came on and seemed to have all the conviction.
He was one thing. It's easy to be wise after the event, of course, and you know,
he was pumped when he came on.
He was someone you think, okay, could he have possibly started the game? Because Madison is in no sort of form whatsoever, right? He's in no form whatsoever. They could have had a shuffle and played Son a bit further back and played Richarlison up front, who would have at least occupied Saliba and Gabriel, who have been amazing all season.
But do you not think the plan would have been, though, to try and press Arsenal, keep the ball, and basically stay in the game?
Yeah,
and then you bring Richarlison on.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
But obviously the way it kind of panned out was, well, let's bring Richarlison to get back in the game.
But they've got the thing about Tottenham is that they've got too many players out of form. So they've got, Bentonka's not been great since he come back from injury. Apparently, he's talking about carrying another injury as well. Maddison's been out of form. Højbjerg hardly ever plays. Basuma's form's dropped off. Sarr has been good, but he obviously wasn't picked. And then you look at
Kulusevski's another one.
Kulusevski's he's really game, and I think a lot of people think he could play better through the middle because he can influence the game a bit more. He's not got lightning pace. And, the other thing that's confusing to me is that, and I don't know enough as much about Spurs as a lot of people do, but everyone seems to talk a lot about how great Van de Ven and Romero are. And I understand that. And Romero, as we just said, he always likes to make things happen. He's always at the heart of it. And to be fair, he did take a lot of responsibility yesterday and tried to make things happen, got his goal, and could have had another goal. And it was fairly decent. His distribution's good. But the big thing, the big circle that you can't square about those two players and about the Spurs record is that they just don't keep any clean sheets.
Yeah,
they cannot stop conceding goals. And I know part of it is the way Spurs like to play.
Well, that is the Postecoglou way. But
if he can the top teams play like that and don't concede.
Yeah, well, of course, and that's the thing. That is the challenge for him. If they can find a way, because look at what Arsenal do. They play with intensity. They can press teams. They can keep the ball. And as you said, just phenomenal at the back.
Definitely, they're a much better team than Spurs. And I think that's everyone accepts.
Is it unfair to say Tottenham? Use Arsenal as your template.
It might be poorly received as a piece of advice. Yeah, I don't want to extrapolate too much, but based on this game, the first half yesterday, you say, okay, so these players have got amazing reputation as defensive players. Everyone talks about how great they are. Fine, maybe they are, but you've gone into half time 3-0 down. Yeah. The other team have only had 27% of the ball. So in theory, you shouldn't have had to have done that much defending. And you cannot hold yourself up as a good centre-back if you are conceding set-piece goals like that. Those set-piece goals, particularly the second set-piece goal, was an embarrassment, a total embarrassment. And they need to accept that.
Mickey Van de Ven is 23, though. And you would think he's only going to keep improving. And the pace he has is such an asset. And obviously, that's not to take away from anything you've said there, Luke, but it does feel like that partnership, him and Romero, is going to be a potentially fruitful one, or miserly one, is perhaps what you want from them more. I think part of why Romero can run around so much is that no one can keep pace with Van de Ven. There's a point in the second half where an outball was played. Martinelli's essentially just trying to run it as far as possible. And Van de Ven just eats up the ground, and that is a rare thing to see Martinelli just think, I can't keep up with this guy.
It's a rare thing for a defensive player as well.
It's a huge asset.
And this is what Postecoglou's got to channel then. We're near at the end of the season. If they finish fourth, that would be a great season for Spurs. It's now mathematically impossible for them to finish above Arsenal, so you've got to accept that.
Yeah.
Okay. But if they finish fourth, great. I actually think if they finish fifth, I think that's still a good season for Spurs, because you think about the gap between fifth and sixth. Because the top three have all been very, very good this season, of course. So it's really, and then Villa and Spurs are the next two. So Spurs, whatever happened, I think they've had a good season is what I'm labouring to say. I think if they were in the Europa League next season, they'd be among the favourites to win.
Because Champions League teams don't drop down next year, do they?
They've got a lot to look forward to, whatever they have. And in the summer, you think to yourself, Postecoglou, right, great first season in charge of Spurs, whatever they do for the final few games. But there's as Jim's pointing out, Van de Ven with the pace and all these players, they've got stuff to work with, and to the board, if they back him as well, see what you can do. I honestly think Spurs, it's an exciting time for them.
They're going in the right direction.
It's funny to say this; they've just lost the North London derby.
I just felt like,
but this Arsenal side this season, it's a bit like hark all the way back to that game they lost 4-1 at home to Chelsea. I loved it. It's brilliant.
Who they play next, by the way? That's going to be fantastic. On Thursday night.
So great. But ultimately, Arsenal win. And they keep pace with Manchester City, and it's a huge win.
And I think really, Spurs started with Højbjerg and Bentancur at the base of midfield against Partey and Rice and Odegaard. It's a mismatch, really. I know Partey doesn't play an awful lot, but he's fucking brilliant.
He's back into form very quickly.
But Arsenal won, Jim. That's the important thing, and they put a bit of pressure on Manchester City, who then played Nottingham Forest, of course.
Yeah, they don't seem to feel pressure, though, do they? Because this
Chris
is just
Wood
completely
seemed to feel
normal
the pressure.
to them. He did.
Yeah, because Forest didn't actually play that badly.
They didn't play that badly, and old Wood missed...
Apparently, the craze used to refer to anyone who wasn't from London as a foreigner. And that's how I'm starting to feel about teams like Forest at the moment.
It's letting you down.
Yeah.
Massively letting you down.
It's
letting
tight.
the whole city down.
It is tight.
I've got no reason to
But
not.
it's all building up to the 11th of May.
Yeah,
and
you're
Marcus's brave boys
Damn right.
doing a number on them.
Look, it's all for one and one for London.
Yeah.
As the rest of the UK say.
Yeah. Yeah. They're traditionally very appreciative
Very
of
appreciative.
the breadbasket of their economy.
Go on, Benny. Oh dear. But yes, I mean the intriguing one is, of course.
Oh, can we have some more investment in the north? No, because you can't be trusted with it.
No, because you voted for them.
Yeah. Tell Pete's not here, can't you?
Spurs play Man City, of course.
They do.
Yeah.
And
they do pretty well against Man City, don't they? Particularly at home, and it is at Spurs. So who knows? And they will almost certainly desperately need those points because the battle for fourth between them and Villa is brilliant, and actually one of the highlights of the remaining storylines essentially in the league. So who knows?
You said at half time some of those Spurs fans were a bit confused. They might be a bit confused watching that one, but we shall see. But I think ultimately. The favour for Arsenal lies at Craven Cottage, as you said, Luke. And we're talking about Arsenal and Manchester City.
Look forward to that letting off. I can bet builder now.
Come on.
When Marcus chooses it.
Oi, how did I get on this week?
Yeah, well done, mate.
Thank you.
The team to beat Luton at home, was it?
Oh, you got to back a winner.
See, I backed a winner as well.
Did you?
Arsenal to beat Spurs.
You did.
Oh,
yeah.
you did. Yeah. Fair enough. I think Andy backed Liverpool to beat West Ham, didn't he? And it was 2-2.
It was 2-2.
The bet was over at about half two on the Saturday.
When Spurs got 2 back against Arsenal, I was standing in the stands just screaming, "Prostate cancer UK! Do it for prostate cancer UK!"
The bet had already gone, mate.
No, because of Brassel, he can't be trusted.
But that's the fact.
Apparently an expert. Fucking pathetic.
But you are focusing on your task and you got it
Exactly.
right.
Got to do your job.
As did I. Thank goodness for a long time. It's been coming. But West Ham 2, Liverpool 2. Liverpool surely out the title race now. They've gone, Jim. Call it.
Ask Mo Salah. That's what Mo Salah was saying to Jurgen Klopp.
He said, "I've gone."
The title's gone.
Yeah.
The title's gone.
Why are you bringing me on? What's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, enjoyable game for the neutral.
It was, yeah. I mean, it would take a double collapse from Arsenal and City for Liverpool to get back into it now, you think? I mean, it's not mathematically out of it, but it does look unlikely, doesn't it?
I mean,
it's
5 points
the manner
off
of it, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It's the...
They're not going to win the title.
They just look completely drained of energy, don't they? Emotional energy and physical energy.
Yeah. It's strange, and it is quite, dare I even say the word sad to see it end like this for Klopp. I mean, sad is too strong a word, actually. It's a little bit of a shame, maybe.
It's underwhelming, isn't it?
Underwhelming, yes, indeed. The fact is, though, they did win the League Cup, and that was incredible when they did. But if you look at Liverpool this season, some people thought maybe this was coming, even though they have kept pace, and they're still in it mathematically, and it's ultimately been a good season for them. When you've got so many trophies to play for and you end up winning just the one, sometimes that can feel like a little bit of a disappointment.
I think the big regret, surely, when all's said and done, will be the Europa League.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think
it's the one that was missing for him as well.
Exactly, he's not won it, and because it was there for them. I think it was there for them, with possible exception by Leverkusen, which would be a big test. I mean, the way they could have capitulated at home to Atalanta was really disappointing.
And they had big chances in that game, and blah 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 blah. But oddly though, I felt that even in those games, and we've mentioned that Manchester United one, where it was 2-2 at Old Trafford, and the Atalanta one, they still looked lively. They were just profligate. Whereas that has sort of changed and turned into, as you said, Jim, as kind of a running out of ideas and creativity a little bit. I've gone on about this game enough, so hopefully this is the last time I mention it. When they beat Fulham, it was just like the system, and they just kind of overwhelmed them. And again, the quality will just
They looked to me like Liverpool against West Ham. Looked to me like they were trying like way too hard.
Well, I think he brought in a lot of the players that did win that game against Fulham, because obviously against Everton they were such a letdown. So he tried to do something a little bit different, and it nearly pays off. But the big talking point really is along with the result is Klopp arguing with Mo Salah on the touchline.
And what's the latest understanding of what was actually being talked about there? Because I don't know what it was.
Well, has it
not been released?
I don't believe so. I mean, obviously Salah said after the game, "If I speak, there will be fire." Now,
and wasn't that after Klopp had said that it was?
It was as he was walking. It was as he was walking through the flash the mix zone.
That's right. And the fact of the matter is, he says that. The fact of the matter, he says that he's registering to everybody, to the world, essentially, that he's pissed off. I found his body language incredible, actually, when it happened, because if you see, on the rare occasion, a manager and player arguing, it feels like, a petulant son having a go at their dad and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of the dynamic.
Yeah.
This actually, and look, I understand maybe this afternoon something comes out and whatever, and of course you don't know what's been said, so you do grasp at straws and you try and analyse the body language and all this kind of stuff. So we can only go on the little tiny bits that we saw. But
people are saying it's about a handshake, aren't they?
Yeah. I think some were saying that he was a bit slow coming off the bench. Klopp's like, right, up you come, and it's like, look, we're still in the title race here. Stop mooching around. You've been crap the last few weeks. Come on, get on with it. But it was Salah's reaction to Klopp that I found really quite interesting. Is that he stands there and, the arms wide and all that kind of stuff. And then he starts pointing at Klopp. And I thought to myself, this is a guy who, it came across like, oh, I'm on the same level as you, if you see what I mean. It didn't feel like he was a bit petulant, he was a bit this, that, and the other. It felt like he was really angry. And that may well be the last time we see Salah this season in Liverpool.
You think it's that serious?
Maybe.
I think what's likely is that it's two individuals in a high state of anxiety, where there's perhaps some sort of miscommunication, misunderstanding of what's happening there.
Could be as simple as that.
But yeah, I would be surprised if it was this huge burning issue behind the scenes.
But I think his goal scoring record against Spurs means he'll definitely start in this game.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, again, if I speak, there will be fire. I know.
Yeah, but I mean,
he kind of said it with a bit of a smile, didn't he? It looks worse written down than it sounded when you see him say it.
Like I say, I could be way over the top with my analysis there, and I think Jim, I hope for their sake certainly, and I think probably you know what you're saying is more on the right lines. The reason why I wonder if he'll play much at all is because matched with that, he's been terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it's not a case of he's just missing a few chances. He's not trying. That's been the gone. He's gone.
So that's the crux of the problem, right? So for me, it feels like I don't know anything about it really. Or I've just seen what everyone else has seen. But to me, it feels like it's a bit of a perfect storm. And you're right to bring that up because ultimately, Jurgen Klopp is still the manager of Liverpool until the end of the season. He's got a right not to pick Mo Salah, which he didn't. And the reason he could say is because I don't care. He's not playing well enough.
That's right.
And Mo Salah is probably thinking to himself, well, I should play every game because I'm Mo Salah and I've been the most important player to Liverpool over X amount of years. And you should give me the time to play myself back into form. And when he tries to bring, when he does bring Mo Salah on, it's 10 minutes to go and it's 2-2. Yeah. So he's probably just saying to him, go and make a difference then, go and do it. And Salah's probably found that a bit patronising or something. But I don't think it'll escalate or anything like that. I think it's not in anyone's interest for it to escalate, chiefly because if Salah wants to go, he's not going to go to the end of the season anyway. There's going to be no one necessarily keeping him because Klopp's going to have gone and serve all his coaching staff, which is who we'll have the relationship with. And he's been linked to a move away anyway. So, I mean, there's no point in making it bigger than it needs to be because all you got to do is wait a few weeks and it'll be done.
Well, yeah, and we shall see how it plays out. But the difficulty for Klopp, as I say, is he needs players that give a damn. And Salah doesn't look like he. I mean, I
think he does care. I think he's just a little bit of a funk.
You know what I mean? Clearly, he cares, but it's not good. And now it's like you're still in this title race. Yes, it seems incredibly unlikely that they're going to win it, and the percentages of them winning it now will be close to zero. But they're still alive. You've still got to keep going until the last moment. So I'm not sure he will start in the next game. I think that, I was saying this before. I said I think they've got to start Elliott, who plays with a lot of intensity. Gravenberch, who seems to be, the same. And actually, it's that intensity and energy that they need. They don't have the quality of Salah, of course, but if Salah's not making runs and he's not in the spaces, it doesn't.
But he has been under an awful lot of pressure because of the relative lack of contribution from other forward players. Hasn't he?
Yeah, but what in talking about Nunez's goals, for example? I mean, Firmino went spells without goals, didn't he?
Firmino wasn't really a big goal scorer. He was a very, very unselfish player.
Okay.
Firmino's lack of goals was a different reason than Nunez's lack of goals, which is Nunez's lack of goals is
he'll shoot
some
from
kind
anywhere.
of surrealist performer. Yeah.
Yeah. Liverpool were hard done by, though, or strangely done, should I say, with that moment when it was Gakpo who ran forward. To challenge Areola. I mean, let's be honest. I understand the referee can blow up whenever the referee chooses to blow up. So I don't think it was like shockingly bad, but quite clearly when you see the footage, he's waving play on.
Yeah.
Like the ball was there. Like as they say, he should have put the ball in the net.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, absolutely. Credit to West Ham though, by the way, because their kind of season's finished, and Antonio got a nice goal. I always love seeing Antonio score. I know he's such a hard-working, like selfless player.
Yeah,
and they're not the same team without him. Yeah. Like, he sets such a tempo, such an example.
Their
for them.
season isn't quite finished because they can still. I mean, they could still finish sixth. Again, it seems unlikely with the points difference of the way Newcastle are playing at the moment. But they're still in there. Bowen, of course, 16 Premier League goals, the most the West Ham players ever scored in a single campaign. Yeah. Which seems sort of quite low on one hand, but then. There was a lot of teams who would perhaps be in that bracket as well, but he's been great, of course. Yeah,
and he's got a contract until 2030, so either they'll get a fortune for him at some point if it goes that way, or they've got a guy who loves the club, who is sort of a symbol of it that they can build a team around for a long time to come.
Yeah. Loves the club so much that he's in a relationship with Danny Dyer's daughter.
Exactly.
You don't get more commitment to the cause.
You certainly don't. You certainly don't. Exactly. Yeah. David Moyes was obviously pleased with the point, and. As anybody would be, even though against this sort of slightly faltering Liverpool side, they're still Liverpool. He then paid tribute to Jurgen Klopp after the game.
It was a strange tribute, wasn't it?
It was a strange tribute. I mean, look, what I liked,
aggressive tribute.
What I liked about it, though,
maybe not the week for it.
No, maybe not.
What I liked, though, it was honest.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as he said, he's managed Everton and Manchester United. It's funny because when he said, well, I've managed the two clubs that have got the biggest rivalry with Liverpool, I was thinking Everton. I was like, Real Sociedad, was it? Was
Liverpool,
Man United,
Were you Liverpool reserves?
He said, I'm glad he's gone. He's fucking too big. His teeth are too bright. No need for any of that.
It's possible what Mo Salah said.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Too big is hilarious.
I think again, it's like I think is it not a compliment saying, oh, he's just this perfect being sort of thing.
Too much charisma, too much energy.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But it really did. At the start, I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is like proper beat. And then he goes on and goes, oh, okay, all right, yeah. I go
He's not wrong though, is he? That's one of the things. Klopp, it's to Klopp's huge credit that a lot of people will be delighted to see the back of it.
Yes, exactly.
Because you don't have to compete with him anymore. Because he's got so much to give.
It was definitely affectionate.
Yeah, did you see... Did old Moyes have a little chuckle and a little pat on Salah's back when West Ham scored?
Yeah.
He did, didn't he?
He loves it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did that.
He was definitely smiling away.
Yeah, like Salah, I don't know what was going on. I don't know whether it was... Because Salah was... I don't know whether...
I think David Moyes thinks, because of this rift between Salah and Klopp, Moyes thinks, well, I'm going to be fired from West Ham. Wherever I go next, Salah could be available. I'll just tap him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have managed Manchester United.
You won't have to work back when you play for me, son. It's just all about goals. It's all about goals.
I don't know. Do you know, there was an element of Jose Mourinho whispering in Pep Guardiola's ear about that Moyes and Salah moment.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Enjoyed it a lot. Now, by the way, everybody, before we go for a break, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you can see that pause button in the top right-hand corner of your phone, well, do tap it now to turn on your downloads. That way, your next episode of the Football Ramble is always ready and waiting for you, and you will never miss an episode. All right, coming up in the second half, we've got the relegation battle. We're off to Old Trafford again, and an interesting situation with the ball boy in Scotland. See you in a moment.
Can I just say one thing to you, right?
Can I just say one more thing? 7-1.
Yeah, but like this game's gone. I am not asked by this game. I've gone. Me, it's gone. This game, right? Can I say one thing to him?
Yeah.
If you continue with this bullshit right now, I promise you, I want to fucking knock you clean out. There's no way you're laughing.
No, you're right. I shouldn't be laughing. My apologies. Sorry.
So, are you going to tell all your followers that I'm better than you?
No, because you're currently 8-1 down.
Yeah, this game's got me. I'm not. I don't care about this game.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. That was Wayne Rooney playing FIFA against Ginge at 2 a.m.
Ginge is a YouTuber.
22-year-old YouTuber, yeah, when Wayne Rooney threatens to knock him.
I think they are actually friends.
Yeah. I mean, he does say, yeah, but he also says in another bit of the clip, you know I've got your address and I can be around in 20 minutes. Have you ever said that to a mate of yours?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Ashley, for sending that clip. You can become a friend of the Ramble too by heading over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. You get access to the Discord where you can chat with us and other Ramble listeners and get ad-free episodes of the Ramble up front and on the continent. On the Discord this weekend, Luke was updating the Patreon subscribers on how his football went with Vish on Friday.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, basically, to translate that, everyone picked up on the fact that I said on Friday I was going to 2-foot Vish in football that night. But the football gods, I mean, I suspect Vish himself, decided that I was on his team. So it was only producer Finn that I could kick it.
It was an odd moment when you did the 2-foot.
I did it anyway. Did it anyway. Yeah. No, producer Finn's team ran riot and give us a good beating.
That's a shame.
Yeah, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, well, you know where he lives, so you'll be around there in 20 minutes to knock him out.
Address.
On the Wayne Rooney thing, that's why I like him. He's just the most normal bloke in the world. He's so normcore for a footballer. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Most footballers wouldn't be doing that, would they?
No, but I don't know how normal it is.
Normal people threatening 22-year-olds on the internet.
No, but I'm just saying, he's playing FIFA at 2 a.m.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he stayed up too late.
He's a father.
Yeah. Colleagues probably told him he used to come to the beach. I'll be through in a minute. I'm just playing online.
Just need to threaten this young lad.
Yeah, it's great.
To be fair, Colleen's probably delighted. It's like, you know what, it could be worse than this.
It's
been
worse.
so much worse than this. I'll just let him do it.
True. Well, let's go to Waz's old team, Everton. They secured their place in the Premier League for another season, as they do.
And Sean Dyche even acknowledged that his change of clothing has been a big part of it, Marcus. First spotted by you a number of weeks ago.
On this show, first spotted by me, but I think others had seen it.
Claim it yourself.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He does look good, you've got to say, in the old tracksuit. Yes, of course, Everton beat Brentford 1-0. A vital victory. Everton have had a fair few clean sheets this season.
Yeah, they've really picked up, haven't they? Obviously, they had the horrifying anomaly at Stamford Bridge, if you can call it an anomaly.
Well, it is. In their last handful of games, it is an anomaly, and you're right to call it horrifying. It's ridiculous.
But aside from that, I think, lots of people are praising Dyche for, navigating Everton through the points deduction, but it's tempting to look at the various problems that have come their way this season and think it's all one thing, isn't it? Like one big blob of problem.
Yeah.
But it's not a points deduction, is it? It's 2 points deduction. Obviously, there's the appeal that reduced the first deduction as well, and that there's a sort of imminent takeover, which is a really quite stressful thing. A lot of uncertainty for people at the club, for the staff and their jobs, like whether they stay up or not. There's a lot of difficult things to navigate that are multifaceted, and they've done it really well. And he made a point in the post-match about consistency of behaviours and that paying off. And I think that is what we're seeing, isn't it? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a great example of that. He couldn't buy a goal a little while ago. Now he looks sort of back to the player that we all know he can be. There's a lot of players in there that are really delivering. Like Dwight McNeil as well looks really sort of energetic and fresh at the moment. There's a few players in there you can really praise.
Braithwaite's been good.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Although he's been sort of pretty consistently good throughout the season. But I think consistent behaviours paying off is essentially some sort of mantra there, and it's absolutely right. He's kept it simple, calmly weathered this storm, and I think done a really good job in really tough circumstances.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. I think that whatever you may think of Dyche and the football he plays, blah de blah de blah, in this job right now with Everton, you have to give him credit.
Oh, for sure.
You simply have to, and I don't say that reluctantly. I think some people may say that reluctantly, but he has. And again, other than that ridiculous loss at Stamford Bridge, defensively they have been good of late. Pickford has looked like vintage Pickford at times. And they've got over the line. Not scoring a lot of goals, but they've scored enough.
I think Pickford's got the second most clean sheets of any goalkeeper in the Premier League.
Behind
right?
Raya, who's obviously got that defence in front of him.
Which is amazing given their position in the table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, really.
Yeah.
And I think Jim's right. They just keep everything tight and keep it basic and do the basic things well. And that's why I think we talked about the reaction to that big, heavy defeat against Chelsea. The players just looked authentically really pissed off with themselves. Like Tarkowski, I think, volunteered to come out and say afterwards, this isn't good enough. This is embarrassing. It's the worst moment of my career. We've got to put it right. And to be fair to them, they have put it right. They've addressed that massive slump they're in at the right time.
Yeah.
They've not even needed to rely. I think they still got Luton and Sheffield United to play, and they've not even had to rely on those two games in the final three of the season to stay up. So they've hit the form at the right time. As ever with Everton, though, it feels like they just lurch from one bad season to another. So you've got to see what's going to happen next year. It's good that they're in the Premier League. It's good that they've preserved their status. But I mean,
presumably Dyche will be there next season. It seems that it would be pretty crazy to sack him, but you never know with the situation with the owners and all that kind of stuff. I just wonder with Everton, when they've had managers who have kept them up. You think of Lampard not that long ago. You think of even maybe Allardyce, who kind of took over and improved the results. It does feel like they're in that situation again, and then you go, okay, right, we've survived. Right, let's kick on now next season, as you were just sort of mentioning, Luke. And then it doesn't kick on, and then they slump back and so on.
But it would have kicked on, wouldn't it, if they hadn't had that points deduction? So if you talk about the points they've got...
So you think that... So how confident would you be that Dyche can kick it on next season and maybe solid mid-table, let's say,
Well, if you take away the points deduction, they're 12th.
Right.
So they're already solid mid-table.
So you think that with a bit of backing and so on, he can actually do something reasonably decent next season?
Dyche can only control what he can control, and he's done that.
Fashion-wise, absolutely.
They'd have 44 points if they hadn't had that deduction. And I know that they need to be punished for what they've done, and I don't have any problem with that personally, but it's not Dyche and the players' fault. I mean, it's not their decisions. Their decisions are on the pitch, and on the pitch they've been good enough, easily good enough. They've been 10 points good enough, probably. In fact, this season, they might have even been 15 points good enough to stay in the league. So they are really putting the foundations down to become a mid-table side under Dyche, because they are defensively pretty decent. If you look at their defensive record, it's by far the best defensive record in the bottom half. I think it might even be the best defensive record outside the top three. They can see a fewer goals than Spurs and Villa.
Yeah.
So defensively, they've got a platform for sure.
Yeah.
And it just, as ever, everything that's swirling around them as a club is what holds them back. So I can't predict the future, so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're in contravention of and what they're not at the moment. But the fact remains that without that points deduction, they're a mid-table team.
Well, Dyche has called this his biggest achievement as a manager, keeping Everton
which is
up.
a really, really damning indictment on the championship victory that they had in Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, Dyche has managed to come across as a little bit of a prat at times.
He's an absolute prat. no question.
And, I'd have thought maybe keeping...
Jose Mourinho said the Europa League was the most important trophy in Man United's history.
There you go.
Second
statements happened.
Second was the Community Shield.
Sure.
He won that year. Yeah.
That's right.
Part of a treble.
How big of an achievement is it for Dyche that he is featured in the new Blossom single video?
It's the video, isn't it?
He's not doing a chorus.
He's not doing a verse. I'd love to hear that.
That'd be way better.
Yeah.
More of a grindcore guy. He's definitely more of a kind of like punk guy.
Yeah.
I think it's strange. I'm not that familiar with Blossoms. From as far as I can tell, they seem fairly generic. I do think
I agree with that.
If you have the opportunity to have Sean Dyche in your video, you just have to say yes to it.
But he's sort of leading.
Just have to do it.
Is he in charge of like a heist or something?
It looks that way. Yeah.
He started to make a move towards some kind of music literate kind of branding, hasn't he? Dyche?
Maybe he'll end up on Jeff Shreves' new podcast.
Well, he could do. I think he's already been on it. I think he's already been on an episode of it.
Perfect sense.
Yeah. He also was on another one fairly recently. He was talking a lot about the Hacienda. I used to go there all the time, apparently.
Right.
So I think he kind of fancies himself as a bit of a music guy.
You've got to be careful if you are in football and you start talking about music and stuff, because you could end up like Joey Barton.
Or Noel Gallagher.
Or Tim Lovejoy.
I mean, not quite the same chaps. They weren't really in football before, were they?
All twats.
I think Tim Lovejoy would say that he was.
Yeah. Well,
you can say whatever you like about Marcus and he won't get offended, but if you say anything about Noel Gallagher, he gets fucking fuming. Look at him. Look at his face. He's gutted.
Sheffield United.
Newcastle used their Sheffield United voucher at the weekend.
Very well.
They
very well.
really did.
Yeah.
I just didn't see this coming. Sheffield United relegate after a 5-1 defeat. The funny thing is, they could have been 2 or 3 up at half time.
They had a lot of chances.
Yeah. They really did.
They took those chances very much like a team who's won 3 Premier League games this season.
Yeah, and Chris Wilde was very honest. He went, the power of this league was just way too much.
It's really telling, wasn't it?
It was.
And what else can he say, really?
Yeah.
Minus 63 goal difference.
Yeah,
really,
it's been
something.
It's been a shocker.
It's a shame for them to get spanked on the day they get relegated, isn't it? But I think it has just really been the story of the season. And what I thought was really interesting was that Wilder named Oliver Arblaster as captain, and he's only 20, and it makes me think they're just looking to the future already.
Well, they have
thinking
to,
that we need to just
But
rip
you've
this
also-
up and start again.
You've also got to philosophically ask whether it was the right thing to get rid of Paul Heckingbottom and bring in Chris Wilder, because they've not been better. They've arguably been worse. And at least you can make the argument that, and a lot of Sheffield United fans will say, maybe he was out of his depth and wasn't really going anywhere. We needed to do something. And I understand that viewpoint. But actually, Heckingbottom was the guy who earned them the right to be in the Premier League.
We're talking with hindsight,
Of course, but if you're gonna replace him with someone that you've already fallen out of love with in the past anyway, and it's not got better, it's actually got worse, then
I suppose, to sort of add to what you're saying there, quite clearly, you looked at the situation with Heckenbottom and Sheffield United. It was going to take something absolutely extraordinary for them to stay up, and it would have taken a manager who has been there and done it and so on. So, which is why I get why they went for Wilder, but really, I don't think he's not a miracle worker for crying out loud. He's not like some Allardyce type of figure, and to keep them up was we all knew really months and months and months ago, even at the start of the season, like the heavy favourites to go back down. So you're right, maybe they should have stayed with Heckenbottom. He gets a bit more experience or whatever. But for Sheffield United, from the fans' point of view, I think there'll be a bit of relief almost.
Yeah.
I think for them, it's not nice. I support a team who have been hammered, and you just want to get out of the Premier League. Luke, perhaps for different reasons. Yourself.
No, I don't know what you mean.
You kind of think, let's just get back to the Championship and let's.
But it's about the manner, isn't it?
It is
the manner. So I don't. I'm not suggesting they should be finishing 8th. But what I am suggesting is maybe they could at least have acquitted themselves like Luton have. Give their fans some moments, give themselves a chance, fight all the way to the end. They wrapped their hand in ages ago.
It's very difficult though. I think when it's so painfully obvious. I think with Luton, there was that whole sense from the fans to the manager to which would have fed into the players of, my goodness, we're here.
Yeah, but Rob Edwards is a much more positive character than Chris Wilder.
Oh, he is, but I think
which counts for a bit. I think.
Yeah, Sheffield United though have been in the Premier League fairly recently, and they've
under Wilder, and they were good. Right,
right, exactly. Whereas Luton, I think they've still got that kind of I don't know, sort of euphoric feeling of being in the Premier League, and it's kind of taken. Now it looks like it's slow. The cracks are really sort of becoming a lot bigger, even though they're still in it because Forest are down there as well. But I think for Sheffield United, they'll be.
It's a weird.
They can't wait for next season to start.
No, fair enough, but it's a weird transition that Chris Wilder's been through, because he was a really exciting man. I can remember his Northampton Town side were won League Two when Portsmouth were in it, and they were fucking amazing. They were really good.
Yeah,
he's done amazing things. He won League One with Sheffield United as well. At the lower league level, they've done. Not only amazing things teams have done amazing things on the Wilder, but in quite an interesting kind of progressive way as well.
But surely those are clubs that he's joined at a time when they are progressing, right? Whereas now this is sort of like a firefighting job, isn't it? Which is a really, really different thing.
Maybe it doesn't suit him. Yeah.
The fact is they played well. They missed chances. They end up losing 5-1.
Yeah. That's just. I think it's worth a brief word on Newcastle as well, who've kind of really quietly put themselves really firmly in contention.
They're ending
probably
strongly.
6th place there. There was a time where it looked like they might not make Europe at all, but they've got a really, really good chance of making the Europa League.
Yeah, they have. Well, they've won 4 in the last 6, whereas Manchester United have only won 1. So Manchester United have been helping them out, it's fair to say. But yeah, Newcastle have been great. I mean, Isak looks fantastic. What a run of form he's on at the moment.
Such a good finisher.
Yeah,
that really is.
That first goal where he runs offside to get back onside. Brilliant. Yeah. Such good forward play.
Yeah. After the game, the Premier League posted on X saying, following their defeat to Newcastle, Sheffield United are relegated, pending Everton and Nottingham Forest points deduction appeals. The post has since been deleted.
It's mad.
Bizarre, yeah.
Well, they've contributed to their own conspiracy.
We might give them another 20 points. You never know.
Yeah, give them Tissia the login. What's going on?
Oh, dearie me. But yeah, so it's interesting down the bottom. I mean, you would think that it's between just Forest and Luton, but Burnley are in there. Manchester United won, Burnley won. A precious point at Old Trafford.
Which is confusing because Man United are apparently an absolutely brilliant team.
Well, they are. I mean, Ten Hag said after the game, we are one of the most dynamic and entertaining teams in the league at this moment. He's right.
In his own way.
He's spot on. I can't agree more with the man. I find myself warming more and more to him.
It takes a special kind of arrogance, though, to say that with a straight face, where you've just played Burnley at home and had less possession than them. You're Manchester United.
It's stunning stuff. They've drawn 5 out of the last 7 matches. I mean, fans were booing when he subbed off Mainu and Rasmus Højlund for Diallo and McTominay.
Anthony took his goal well, you have to say, though.
Yeah, it was a genuinely excellent goal. Yeah. And he's obviously there's a mistake involved, but he's got a lot to do and he managed to do it. Yeah. First Premier League goal of the season, though, which tells its own story, doesn't it?
I think we should give Anthony his credit, for a change, fair enough. With regards to Ten Hag, though, I mean, he's not going to be there next season, is he? Surely.
It would be hilarious.
It'd be brilliant,
wouldn't it?
Jimmy, I mean, where's the campaign trail because I want to get on it.
There was quite an interesting conversation on Dutch TV over the weekend between Ibrahim Afellay and Rafael van der Vaart, who were doing punditry in the Eredivisie. And
Van der Vaart does like
he does not pull punches, does he?
No, but Afellay was saying that he thinks that Ajax need to, basically do everything they can to get Ten Hag back. And Van der Vaart was like essentially just shoving the boot right in, saying, "Well, Erik Ten Hag, something like Erik Ten Hag's doing his very best to be out of a job in the summer, so I'm sure it'll be doable," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel it feels unlikely that the club the size of Man United, with the hierarchy they've now put in place and the kind of ownership they've got, taking care of the football side of things, would stick with Ten Hag after this.
I mean, let's be honest. Newcastle are probably going to finish higher than them, so Manchester United will probably finish 7th.
Ten Hag keeps comparing Man United, his Man United team, to like these glorious Man United teams under Ferguson. Yeah, well, he just keeps volunteering this information out.
He was taking a dig at the pundits and asked for them to be patient. He said people forget that the Manchester United team of 2004-05, they didn't play great football, and that was when Ferguson was building a new team around Rooney and Ronaldo, and also when Jose Mourinho came into Chelsea, and it was at the time I think a records points tally, wasn't it? 95 points, something like that. Yeah, and they won the league. He said they were building and it took time, but everyone forgets, even the players who were in the team. And again,
But if you're building if you're building a house, and the house is half built and it looks shit.
Yeah,
like there's 14,
that's made of sand.
Yeah, there's 14
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, the windows are terrible and it's about to fall down. Yeah. You can't just say, it's not finished yet.
No.
I can see that's a shit house.
Yeah, it's going to fall down.
It's terrible.
Wait for me to finish. And it has fallen down, yeah. They've got a cup final to look forward to.
They have.
Yeah.
Which is wild, isn't it, to think of?
Yeah, it is quite amazing.
Another cup final, yeah. But the funny thing is when they play Burnley at home and it ends 1-1, you think, and the way the game, like Ten Hag says, we're one of the most entertaining teams. Like, because suddenly it was just a madhouse. It was an open game. Now, when a bigger side at home, they get pegged back and it's 1-1, you think, that's a bit embarrassing. Now, what you would see at any other of the big sides, they go, right, lads, we have to go on and win this game. Right, pressure. We go, push them back. And suddenly the Burnley goal, if they were at Arsenal, Man City, Spurs, Villa, whatever.
They'd be overwhelmed for the next 10 minutes.
They would be like, how dare you do that to us? Against Manchester United, it was like a school match. It was suddenly like, it's all open. Yeah. Bang, 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 up either end, any team could nick it. It's just remarkable.
But when Erik Ten Hag is talking about how entertaining his Man United side
he's right.
He doesn't mean the same thing that you mean.
No. I know, but we use the same word. We dream the same dream.
You don't want the same thing. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Dearie me. Burnley, though, have only lost one of the last 8 games. Now, we've been talking about Luton and Forest, but Burnley are in there. I mean, if they can survive, it would be remarkable.
There's a feeling here that it might just be a little bit too little too late. Though,
right? Well, they've got a tough run in, haven't they? They've got Newcastle next, who obviously have got a lot to play for, and then Spurs, same case there, and then Forest on the last day. So if it does go to the last day, that'll be one to keep an eye on for sure.
That would be absolutely enormous. I mean, Luton themselves, they've got Everton now. Obviously, Everton are safe, but they're doing okay. Then West Ham away, and then Fulham. So yes, I mean, Luton, you would say, have the sort of preferable set of fixtures, although Forest, as you mentioned, Sheffield United.
I mean, it's impossible to predict these things.
Well, it would be
because these teams don't win games. Yeah. Like between them all season, they've won 18 games. Yeah. So there's not going to be a huge amount of points being picked up. It could be a really, really low points total to be safe this season. Really could.
Well, yeah, indeed. Of course, next season in the Premier League, we'll have Leicester City.
They're back.
They've done it.
That's one in the eye for, and you're probably not going to remember this, but there was when we talked about Leicester being brilliant about 2 or 3 months ago. We got a load of stick from Championship fans saying, "Oh, you obviously don't watch the Championship." Well, let's hear from you now. Honestly, let's hear from you now. This is like when the fans at the football matches kick off and the players get to say something back.
There we are.
Say something back now. Cup your ear to them.
Up your arses.
He's cupping his ear. He's cupping your ear.
I'm cupping everything I can cup.
Jamie Vardy's celebrating with Dennis Wise. What have we got to say now?
Yeah, what was that about?
Came out of nowhere, didn't it?
So their promotion back to the Premier League was confirmed on Friday night because Leeds lost 4-0 to QPR, which is
I watched that in the pub. Result. I watched that in the pub, and there was
you and Dennis.
I was coincidentally with a friend of Vicious who's a QPR fan, right? And we walked into the pub just as the game was kicking off, and he was doing the usual QPR thing. We're shit. We're absolutely shit. Like, there's no way.
No, he's not that wrong, is he?
No, they are shit. They were 17th at the time. He's like, there's no way we're going to win. I'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not bothered. Yeah. There were loads of Leeds fans in there because obviously Leeds are such a big club. There's fans everywhere. Yeah. Even though this is a pub in South London. By about the third goal going in, this QPR fan was like glued to the screen. He couldn't believe what was happening.
Yeah.
And the Leeds fans had all disappeared.
Superb.
Championship football can get you like that.
It really can. It really can. But yeah, the surprising thing was that Vardy wasn't involved in the celebrations, because Enzo Maresca hosted a celebration for the players and staff at his house to celebrate. As you could imagine, there was a bit of drinking, some cigars and all sorts on the go.
Yeah.
But Jamie Vardy missed them. He was with his wife, and they were FaceTiming Dennis Wise.
Was his wife trying to get some kind of legal advice, perhaps?
Maybe. Well, Dennis Wise is in Italy right now. He's one of the bigwigs at Como.
What a gig for Dennis
It's
Wise.
incredible, isn't it?
Having been out of that type of gig since, 2009?
Yeah, and being quite bad at it. Like the Cockney Mafia out, he's gone to Como.
Yeah, well, yeah. And let's leave the word mafia alone.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Cockney Mafia out,
I know.
But Vardy's not going to get involved in this kind of low-level celebration when he was able to celebrate. As Jim always rightly says, when his Jamie Vardy stag weekend won the Premier League,
Yeah.
they were celebrating at Jamie's house then, weren't they?
They were, and to be honest, I'm surprised he's not involved, because he is the ultimate ringleader with this sort of thing. But is it a sign that he's slowing down in his old age, or is...
I said this before. I said this to you guys, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Jamie Vardy, I wouldn't be surprised. I know all the stories about him and stuff, which I'm sure are true. I wouldn't be surprised if Jamie Vardy spends the summer living like a monk because he really wants to mug as many people in the Premier League office. It's basically one last rodeo, isn't
Definitely.
it? Jamie Vardy next season is Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon.
Ooh.
He's too old for this shit.
In every Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, but he's gonna do the business.
Yeah.
He's 37 years old.
I think in the first Lethal Weapon movie, I think Danny Glover was 43.
He was talking about being too old for his character. And then there was 4 of the buggers, It's absolutely incredible.
Vardy's Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
I don't know who Mel Gibson's going to be. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some hearts broken by Vardy in the Premier League next season for
but
sure.
Vardy's kind of... No, but I think Vardy is much more like Mel Gibson's character. Is that,
Do you mean his fictional character or his real life character?
No, obviously Lethal Weapon. He's got that kind of... that stare.
Yeah.
And the unpredictability.
The charisma.
Yeah.
The Hollywood leading man.
I think that's it, yeah.
I mean, there's no chance he's going to do like a Paul Merson is there, because when Paul Merson helped Portsmouth get promoted to the Premier League, he kind of gracefully bowed out, so I can't do it in the Premier League.
Unless
you were talking about the Kevin Phillips did that recently, weren't you? Talking about how he used to do that.
Yeah.
He became like a championship gun for hire, yeah.
Unless he fancies a bit of Serie B with Como.
Oh, now you're talking.
Come on.
I can't see someone of his character he's surely not going to be able to resist playing the Premier League for one last season.
I would have thought, I want him to see him back. I really do want to see him back. The League One and League Two seasons concluded at the weekend. Derby are back in the Championship. My goodness, they've suffered of late. But they're back. And
the local, I think it's BBC Radio Derby commentator was very emotional about it, wasn't he?
Very emotional.
And I think that's understandable. Some people said it was a bit over the top, but actually, given the Derby's travails and how a lot of the fans thought they were going to be without a club, you can see why it's very emotional for them to get promoted. They've been good this season.
Them and Pompey.
Yeah.
How about
Well, they haven't been able to live with Pompey, but there's no shame in that.
97 points. 97
Big celebration on the South Sea Common this weekend.
Was there?
For the Pompey players and the fans, yeah.
And were you there?
I wasn't there, no.
Save yourself for
Playing
next
football
season.
with Vish, wasn't I?
Now, we mentioned Doncaster's incredible turnaround on Wednesday's show last week. They secured their place in the playoffs, finishing 5th. They were 22nd in February, then won 13 of the last 18 games.
And momentum was massive in the playoffs.
Glorious.
It's massive.
Glorious.
Some great stories. Crawley Town's also a great story. They were favourites for relegation and finished in the playoffs as well. Bromley in National League, they could go into the League Two. They won their playoff semi-final. They go to Wembley in the playoff final for the National League. Incredible. They have to rip their pitch up if they get promoted because it's a
in celebration.
Yeah, it's just a traditional thing you do in that part of Kent. Yeah.
Pitch invasion, then take it all
with
up.
you. Yeah, take it with you.
Exactly, yeah. Before we go, though, we promised you some ball boy chat. During St Mirren versus Rangers, there was a ball boy who... Now, was he sent away by the referee, or did St Mirren kind of sub him in? Either way, he was he had the ball, and Rangers player Leon Balogun went over to take a throw, and he basically just chucked the ball away.
Yeah.
And the referee, understandably, was thinking, hang on, this is affecting the integrity of the game here. Sort of, I suppose, signalled for him to be taken away.
Yeah.
But we're not having this.
The kid has a mohawk.
Yep.
And he struts away like the hardest man in Paisley.
Yeah.
Like he will be telling that story in pubs probably now, even though he looks about 12. Like he is
If he walked
made
in
a
now,
name for himself.
He would be the hardest bloke in the studio.
Definitely.
What I love, though, it was after 8 minutes. 8 minutes in.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
It's just, it's incredible, yeah. But I know people might think it's a bit over the top. That's proper refereeing. We've all got to be involved in the integrity of this, otherwise we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he did the right thing. I mean, he didn't give him a red card. Some people say he was sent off. He wasn't sent off.
He should have banished a red card, although maybe that's what the kid wanted.
You can't red card a ball boy. You can't red card a ball boy.
It'd be so funny if he did. But then nowadays, with the ball boys and the ball people, should I say, not boys, they don't actually hand the ball.
They're supposed to put it on the cone, aren't they, in the Premier League?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's to stop that exact kind of thing happening, because when Eden Hazard kicked that kid's head in, people were fuming about it, weren't they?
Yeah.
That kid, by the way, at the time...
but if he will put his head on the cone...
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.